Introduction: America's abandoned homes. Across the United States, over 15 million homes sit vacant at any given time according to the most recent data. Some are seasonal properties or vacation homes, but millions are truly abandoned, left to decay with no owner in sight. Today we're counting down the 25 states with the most abandoned homes, using vacancy rates, estimated abandoned property counts, and foreclosure data from the Census Bureau, USPS, and HUD. All figures are approximate and may vary by source. The results may shock you. How we measured the rankings. For this ranking, we looked at three key metrics: the overall housing vacancy rate from census data, the estimated number of abandoned or long-term vacant properties reported by USPS address tracking, and the state's foreclosure rate from HUD and industry sources. States were ranked by a combination of these factors, with a heavier weight on total abandoned property counts and vacancy percentages. All data reflects the most recent available estimates. Let's get started. Number 25, Missouri. Starting our list at number 25, Missouri has a housing vacancy rate of approximately 12.4%. The state has an estimated 155,000 long-term vacant or abandoned properties, many concentrated in the St. Louis metro area. Missouri's foreclosure rate hovers around 0.9%, slightly above the national average, with older industrial neighborhoods hit hardest. Number 24, Arkansas. Arkansas comes in at number 24 with a vacancy rate of approximately 13.6%. Roughly 120,000 homes across the state are classified as long-term vacant or abandoned, particularly in rural Delta communities. The foreclosure rate sits at about 0.8%, but many abandoned properties here were simply walked away from as small towns lost population over decades. Number 23, Oklahoma. Oklahoma ranks number 23, with a housing vacancy rate of around 12.8%. An estimated 140,000 properties sit abandoned or in long-term vacancy across the state. The foreclosure rate is approximately 0.85%. Many of these empty homes are found in smaller oil towns that experienced booms and busts, leaving entire streets deserted. Number 22, Kentucky. At number 22, Kentucky has a vacancy rate of about 12.7%. The state is home to roughly 130,000 abandoned or long-term vacant properties, many of them in the eastern Appalachian coal country. With a foreclosure rate near 1.0%, Kentucky's housing abandonment is closely tied to the decline of the coal mining industry and the resulting outmigration. Number 21, Tennessee. Tennessee lands at number 21 with a vacancy rate of about 11.9%. Approximately 165,000 homes across the state are considered long-term vacant or abandoned. The foreclosure rate stands at roughly 0.75%. While Nashville and Memphis are booming in some areas, older neighborhoods in both cities have pockets of severe abandonment that drag the state's numbers up. Number 20, New Mexico. New Mexico takes the 20th spot with a surprisingly high vacancy rate of approximately 15.3%. About 75,000 properties across the state sit abandoned or in long-term vacancy. The foreclosure rate is around 0.95%. Much of the abandonment occurs in remote rural areas and former mining towns, where properties can sit untouched for years with no buyers in sight. Number 19, South Carolina. South Carolina comes in at number 19 with a vacancy rate of approximately 14.8%. The state has an estimated 175,000 long-term vacant or abandoned homes. Its foreclosure rate runs about 0.88%. Coastal areas see high seasonal vacancy, but the inland regions, especially in the rural PD area, face genuine abandonment driven by poverty and population loss. Number 18, Kansas. Kansas ranks 18th with a housing vacancy rate of about 11.5%. An estimated 95,000 properties are long-term vacant or abandoned throughout the state. The foreclosure rate is roughly 0.7%. Many of Kansas's abandoned homes are found in small agricultural towns that have been steadily losing population for decades as farming has become increasingly mechanized. Number 17, Louisiana. Louisiana takes the 17th spot with a vacancy rate of about 14.2%. Roughly 180,000 homes across the state are classified as abandoned or in long-term vacancy. The foreclosure rate is approximately 1.1%. The lingering effects of major hurricanes, along with repeated flooding events, have left entire neighborhoods in New Orleans and rural parishes with rows of uninhabitable homes. Number 16, Georgia. Georgia comes in at number 16 with a vacancy rate of around 12.6%. The state has an estimated 270,000 long-term vacant or abandoned properties, a high raw number driven by its large population. Georgia's foreclosure rate sits at approximately 0.9%. While Atlanta continues to grow rapidly, many rural counties in South Georgia are losing residents, leaving homes behind. Number 15, New York. New York might surprise many at number 15, but the state has a vacancy rate of about 11.1% and a staggering 430,000 long-term vacant or abandoned properties. The foreclosure rate is approximately 1.3%, one of the highest in the nation. Upstate cities like Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse have been battling housing abandonment for decades as manufacturing jobs disappeared. Number 14, Illinois. Illinois ranks 14th with a vacancy rate of approximately 11.8%. The state is home to roughly 350,000 abandoned or long-term vacant properties. With a foreclosure rate of about 1.2%, Illinois has one of the more troubled housing markets in the Midwest. Chicago's south and west sides account for a huge share of the state's abandoned properties, with entire blocks sitting empty. Number 13, North Carolina. North Carolina sits at number 13 with a vacancy rate of about 13.1%. An estimated 250,000 homes across the state are long-term vacant or abandoned. The foreclosure rate is around 0.8%. While the Research Triangle and Charlotte boom, many rural mountain and coastal plain counties continue to bleed population, leaving behind a growing inventory of empty homes. Number 12, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania claims the 12th spot with a vacancy rate of roughly 11.4%. The state has approximately 340,000 long-term vacant or abandoned properties. Its foreclosure rate is about 1.1%. Cities like Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Scranton each have thousands of abandoned row homes and properties, remnants of the industrial era that once made Pennsylvania an economic powerhouse. Number 11, Indiana. Indiana takes the 11th position with a vacancy rate of about 12.0%. Roughly 185,000 properties across the state are considered long-term vacant or abandoned. The foreclosure rate stands at approximately 1.05%. Indianapolis, Gary, and smaller Rust Belt cities like Muncie and Anderson have been hit particularly hard, with Gary alone having thousands of abandoned homes across its landscape. Number 10, Texas. You might not expect Texas on this list, but sheer size puts it at number 10. Texas has a vacancy rate of about 10.8%, which is moderate, but that translates to roughly 520,000 long-term vacant or abandoned homes, a massive raw number. The foreclosure rate is about 0.6%. Many of these properties are in remote West Texas towns, the Rio Grande Valley, and older neighborhoods in Houston and Dallas. Number 9, West Virginia. West Virginia ranks 9th with one of the highest vacancy rates in the nation at approximately 16.6%. An estimated 75,000 homes sit abandoned or in long-term vacancy across this small state. The foreclosure rate is about 0.85%. The decline of the coal industry has hollowed out entire communities in the southern coal fields, leaving behind a haunting landscape of empty homes and shuttered businesses. Number 8, Alabama. Alabama takes the 8th spot with a vacancy rate of approximately 15.5%. The state has roughly 195,000 long-term vacant or abandoned properties scattered across its landscape. With a foreclosure rate of about 0.92%, Alabama's abandonment problem is deeply tied to rural poverty and the decline of textile and manufacturing jobs. Birmingham alone has over 10,000 abandoned structures. Number 7. Florida. Florida comes in at number 7, which is notable given its reputation as a growth state. The vacancy rate is about 14.5%, and the state has a staggering 680,000 long-term vacant or abandoned properties. The foreclosure rate is approximately 1.0%. Many of these vacancies are seasonal snowbird homes, but inland Florida cities and subdivisions built during the mid-2000s housing boom still have significant genuine abandonment. Number 6. Mississippi. Mississippi claims the 6th spot with a vacancy rate of approximately 15.8%, one of the highest in the country. An estimated 115,000 homes across the state are abandoned or in long-term vacancy. The foreclosure rate is about 0.95%. As one of the lowest income states in the nation, Mississippi's abandonment problem is fueled by persistent poverty, outmigration, and decades of economic challenges. Number 5. Maine. Maine may surprise many at number 5, boasting a vacancy rate of approximately 19.2%, one of the very highest in the nation. The state has around 130,000 vacant properties, though many are seasonal cabins and lake houses. The foreclosure rate is about 0.7%. However, inland and northern Maine towns like Millinocket and Rumford have seen genuine housing abandonment as paper mills and logging operations shut down. Number 4. Ohio. Ohio takes the 4th spot and represents the heart of America's Rust Belt abandonment crisis. The state has a vacancy rate of about 12.3%, but with approximately 380,000 long-term vacant or abandoned homes, the raw numbers are staggering. The foreclosure rate is around 1.15%. Cleveland, Dayton, Youngstown, and Toledo each have tens of thousands of abandoned properties, with some neighborhoods resembling ghost towns. Ohio. A closer look at Youngstown. Youngstown, Ohio has become a national symbol of urban abandonment. The city once had a population of over 170,000 but has shrunk to under 60,000, leaving behind roughly 5,000 abandoned homes. The city has demolished over 4,000 structures in recent years, but still can't keep up. Some properties sell at tax auctions for as little as $500, yet still find no buyers. Number 3. Vermont. Vermont claims the 3rd spot with an eye-popping vacancy rate of about 18.7%. The state has approximately 60,000 vacant properties for a population of only about 645,000 people. The foreclosure rate is low at around 0.5%. Much of Vermont's vacancy is seasonal, ski chalet and summer homes that sit empty most of the year. But rural towns are also experiencing genuine population decline and housing abandonment. Number 2. Michigan. Michigan comes in at number 2, a state whose housing abandonment crisis has made international headlines. The vacancy rate is approximately 14.2%, and the state has an estimated 420,000 long-term vacant or abandoned properties. The foreclosure rate hovers around 1.2%. The collapse of the auto industry devastated cities like Detroit, Flint, and Saginaw, leaving behind vast swaths of empty homes that stretch for miles. Michigan. Detroit spotlight. Detroit alone has an estimated 70,000 to 80,000 abandoned structures. At its peak in 1950, the city housed 1.85 million people. Today, the population is well under 650,000. Entire neighborhoods have been reclaimed by nature, with trees growing through roofs and wildlife roaming vacant lots. The city has spent hundreds of millions of dollars demolishing abandoned homes, yet tens of thousands still remain standing. Number 1. Alaska. Topping our list at number 1 is Alaska, with the highest vacancy rate in the entire nation at approximately 20.5%. The state has around 60,000 vacant properties despite its small population of about 733,000. The foreclosure rate is roughly 0.75%. Alaska's extreme remoteness, harsh climate, and boom-and-bust resource economy have created abandoned settlements and ghost towns scattered across its vast wilderness. Alaska. A closer look. Many of Alaska's abandoned properties are in former gold rush towns, closed military installations, and remote native villages where residents have relocated to larger communities. Places like Adak, once home to 6,000 naval personnel, now has a population of about 170, with hundreds of abandoned military structures. The cost of demolition in such remote areas can exceed $50,000 per building, making cleanup nearly impossible. The major causes of abandonment. Housing abandonment in America has several major drivers. Economic decline, particularly the loss of manufacturing and mining jobs, is the biggest factor in the Rust Belt and Appalachian states. Natural disasters like hurricanes and floods create abandonment along the Gulf Coast. Population outmigration leaves homes behind in rural areas, and the 2008 housing crash created waves of foreclosures that still haunt some communities today. The true cost of abandoned homes. Abandoned homes aren't just eyesores, they're expensive problems. Studies show that each abandoned property can reduce surrounding home values by 3 to 5%, costing neighboring homeowners thousands of dollars. Vacant homes attract crime, with research finding that arson rates near abandoned buildings are up to 3 times higher. Municipalities spend an average of $15,000 to $35,000 per demolition, draining already strained city budgets. Creative solutions being tried. Some cities are getting creative. Land banks in places like Cleveland and Detroit acquire abandoned properties and either demolish them or sell them to responsible buyers at low prices. Baltimore's Dollar Home program sells vacant row houses for $1 to buyers who commit to renovating them. Some communities are converting vacant lots into urban farms and green spaces, turning blight into community assets. Honorable mentions. Several states just missed our top 25 list. Montana has a vacancy rate of about 12.1% driven by seasonal properties. Iowa and Nebraska both face rural abandonment as farming communities shrink. New Jersey has one of the highest foreclosure rates in the nation at approximately 1.4%, though its overall vacancy rate is lower. Hawaii has surprising pockets of abandonment on the Big Island near volcanic zones. National overview of vacancy. Nationally, the U.S. housing vacancy rate stands at approximately 10.5% based on the most recent data, representing over 15 million vacant units. Of those, an estimated 4 to 5 million are truly abandoned or in severe long-term vacancy. The national foreclosure rate is around 0.7%. While some vacancy is normal and healthy for a functioning housing market, millions of abandoned homes represent wasted potential and community decay. Abandoned versus vacant. The key difference. It's important to distinguish between vacant and abandoned properties. A vacant home might be listed for sale, used seasonally or between tenants. An abandoned home has no active owner maintenance, often has delinquent taxes, and may have structural deterioration. States like Vermont and Maine rank high on vacancy rates largely due to seasonal homes, while states like Michigan and Ohio rank high due to true abandonment. The irony of the housing crisis. Here's the striking paradox. America simultaneously faces a severe housing shortage and millions of abandoned homes. Estimates suggest a shortfall of around 4 to 7 million housing units nationwide, yet 4 to 5 million homes sit abandoned. The problem is location. Abandoned homes are where people are leaving, while housing shortages exist where people are moving. This geographic mismatch is one of America's great housing challenges. Conclusion. The story behind empty homes. From Alaska's remote ghost towns to Detroit's sprawling vacant lots, abandoned homes tell the story of economic change, population shifts, and community resilience across America. Whether it's 25 states or all 50, every state deals with vacancy and abandonment in some form. Thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting, please like, subscribe, and share. Let us know in the comments which state's abandonment story surprised you the most.